Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 68. We are coming to you again live from quarantine. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
Early and full of energy drink. How are you?
Dreadful. Absolutely fucking dreadful. This has been one of the worst months of my entire life. Not for, like, I know actual people out there in the world are having much bigger concerns right now. Of course, I had the PC problems. And then for the last 5-6 days, I have been dying of illness. Absolutely dying of illness. Not corona. Don't worry, not corona. I thought it might be, because when you think about it, we went to that party last Saturday at Lauren's, and I drank a ton of hooch. So the next day I was pretty rough. And 2 days later, I was still pretty rough. So I was thinking to myself, God, have I transitioned into that stage in my life where I have 2-day hangovers? This is why people stop drinking, isn't it? But then I went into the third day of still feeling relatively rough. But then a headache came on. And by the end of the day, I had the shivers. So it was some sort of cold or flu type thing. And then progressively over 3 days, that headache got worse and worse and worse and would not go away, to the point where I can only describe it as it must have been a migraine, because I was so unbelievably sensitive to light. It was awful. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And to any migraine sufferers out there, like,
fucking horrible.
Unbelievable level of sympathy, because I was lying in bed in tears. If somebody had come into my bedroom and offered to club me over the head with a bat, and I know many of you would offer.
I'd be first.
Yeah. I'm not joking. If somebody could have knocked me out cold, I would have taken it. It was absolutely brutal. Paracetamol wasn't touching it. Cold and flu meds kind of took the edge off, but not for nearly long enough. And then I remembered that I have some naproxen in my house. I didn't think that would do anything for it. I thought that was just for joint issues, but no, that can help with headaches. And I took that and I felt absolutely human. So I've been surviving on naproxen for the last 2 days, and I'm terrified to let it wear off in case there's still a headache underneath this. So yeah, that's my tale. It's been very hard to do any work, etc. But done my best. Managed to get a bit of work done, but we'll talk about that shortly.
Yes.
Anything interesting going on with you?
Nothing too exciting, man. Eventually, as of yesterday, which was 2 weeks after we finished training, took our first phone calls at the new job.
Right.
My first phone call was someone who had read our number incorrectly on a energy bill, and I had to send them back to the energy provider. So that was a good way to break me in. Otherwise, pretty good, mate. The job seems like it's going to be good. The first day of calls, there was nothing really super hard to deal with. And it gave me a kind of good feel for what clients will be like coming on the phone. So it's pretty good. Other than that, not a lot. Finley's as mental as usual. And
you've still got glitter all over your microphone?
I've still got glitter all over everything. I took my wallet out the shop. Out my pocket in the shop yesterday, and there was still glitter falling out of it. Still everywhere. Everywhere.
It's funny because, like, obviously, like, put a lot of time and effort into making that episode with the glitter bomb come together, and I thought that it would be very well received. And of course, the usual viewers of the show enjoyed it, but it didn't reach as wide an audience as a normal show would. And I think that's just what goes hand in hand with having the word bomb in a title for a video on YouTube. So I thought that would make tons of people click, and it would. Mike gets glitter bombed. But
you could have done a doubler, and you could have called it a homemade party cannon.
Oh, mate. I've been meaning to do an edit of it, so we'll do that. I'll do an edit of that so people can enjoy that moment over and over and over and over, as I have many times since. Anyway, did you know? This show is brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. We want to thank Perry and the guys over at Ormsby for all of their support. It is very much appreciated. For those unfamiliar with Ormsby and what they do, they're wonderful guitars built by Perry out in Australia. And probably what they're most notable for in recent years is actually doing these runs of guitars that are actually built offshore and then brought into Australia for quality control and then sent on out. So if you head on over to ormsbyguitars.com and check out the pre-order section on their website, you can check out some of the upcoming upcoming runs, get involved for a very low price. And prepayment plans, payment over a series of months, great way to get yourself a killer instrument at an absolutely killer price. So as always, thank you so much for the support, guys. Check them out and let them know that we sent you. Anyway, on with the show. So a huge thank you to Perry and the guys over at Ormsby for your continued love and support. You guys absolutely rock. So yeah, let's get on with the show. Couple of things to talk about. Lots of things to talk about, actually. So
Quite a lot, yeah.
Some of the work that I have been doing over the past few weeks, or desperately trying to do, the rest of the world can see and enjoy now. Well, not the transcriptions yet, but Jack Gardiner, his album is finally out, Escapades. It is worth checking out. It's a short album. It's more of an EP, actually, 6 tracks. We featured it on the playlist. There is a Guitar Souls playlist. I'm sure there's probably a way to find that. It will be searchable on the channel. It is public. So
we will link it below. Let's make things easy.
I just like upsetting you more. But yeah, please do go and check out Escapades. It's genuinely very, very good. Really, really enjoyable guitar playing. It's kind of got that. It's really hard to describe. It's kind of got that like I don't want to say synth wave because that's not really the right word, but it's this weird blend of like really 80s kind of. I'll tell you what I'll call it. VCR fusion. Would be the way I would describe it.
Betamax jazz.
Yeah.
Not jazz, you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's some blisteringly cool guitar playing on it, and I like the melodies.
Jack Gardner, isn't it?
Yeah,
to be expected.
yeah. I like the production. I like the guitar tone. Very, very good. Well worth checking out.
Here's a weird thing, right? And maybe I'm wrong when I say this. Do you not find that when you like the person, you sometimes like their music more?
Inevitably, yeah. That's
because
I think thing.
I've never met Jack, but all the interactions I've had with him online and stuff, he just seems like the nicest guy. I've never heard any bad words about him.
Yeah.
And every time I hear his music, you can just hear that, like, I don't know if it's like you can hear that he's polite in his tone. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm trying to think if I know anybody that's had a negative experience with Jack, and you're definitely right on that one. I think that it's a shame though, because you're right. Like inevitably, if you have a positive opinion of someone, you hear their music in a more positive way. So you have to look at that and you go, well, am I? Is there like an inherent, from a reporting perspective, am I inserting a bias into this? But I think. Fortunately, we're not actual critics.
I mean, the great thing is I'll wear my bias in my sleeve. Like,
yeah.
We've got a story later where it touches on Avenged Sevenfold, and I would rather touch I'd rather touch inside the fucking husk in Chernobyl, whatever the fuck it's called,
the elephant's foot.
Yes, the elephant's foot. I'd rather be inside that, touching the walls with my tongue, than listen to his playing. And that's just because I don't like his playing. That's not because he's not good.
Sure.
Like, if you're just looking at it as a complete, like, skill-based point of view, he's not a terrible player. I just don't like his playing.
Yeah.
When have I ever been nice about Avenged Sevenfold? Things are not right today.
No, that is absolutely fair. So please do go and check out Jack's album. Also need to make mention of Kieran, K-Mac 2021, has just done a... what would you describe it as? Like a live quarantine?
Tech Fest at Home,
yeah.
It was called, which was, essentially like a live quarantine festival.
Yeah.
They did Thursday, Friday, and Kieran was on last night. He was 4th or 5th in the bill, and they played alongside Novena, who are other friends of ours. We've got some members of Slice the Cake and Haken in there. I think there's another couple of band members in there for other bands, and I apologise if I haven't caught up with them. And Project Mushroom. Have you heard them before?
I have not.
You might be into them in terms of the just how like interesting they are. I think they're Indian. I might be completely wrong, but it's like almost like conical singing over Meshuggah, with really, really cool, weird structures, and it's something else, man. And a fiddle player.
Right.
It's fucking ridiculous. I watched a wee bit of the video last night after I'd seen some of the festival stuff, but it's interesting. That's the best way to put it. It's really interesting.
Well, I am in a exploratory musical mood recently, so
good.
As you know from me really enjoying that Stardust album, and as I keep saying, who listens to music that other people recommend? Nobody. But I do encourage you to go and check out the video of Kieran. and it is posted in the Guitar Souls music playlist. It's good, obvious criticism. There's about 200% more Chapman guitars in that video than is acceptable. But
I agree. I tried my best. They weren't having it. They went out and bought new guitars and they were happy with them. I was like, okay. I mean, I could have got you deals, but Kieran could have got you better deals than me.
Yeah.
But however.
Cool. So okay, let's continue talking The Last of Us, because I have that now. I have it and I can play it. My wife was very kind and bought it for me because I wasn't feeling very well, which was nice of her.
She knows how to torture you because you were talking about how you didn't want to play it.
Yeah.
Fucking hate the game. Here you go, Levi.
Yeah. And I've kind of, actually, again, this isn't a gaming podcast, but I had to move on from Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order. I finished it and was going for the platinum. I ran into a bug that was going to stop me from being able to get the platinum, but on reflection, the game is nowhere near as good as I initially kind of heralded it to be. If anyone has played that game and you've played the start of it, maybe you've not finished it, I can assure you nothing in that game is anywhere near as good as the first 15 minutes of it. The first 15 minutes of it is ridiculously cinematic and exciting, and it just it's not a really massively fleshed out game. It feels very very straight ahead once you're 10 hours into it. And there's virtually no replay value, and all of the worlds in it, all of the maps, all 5 of the maps are literal fucking mazes, and there's no fast travel for any of it either. So couldn't bear the thought of having to grind out the platinum trophy in that. But Last of Us, started that, and I'm not far enough into it to have any solid things to say about it. But what I was thinking when I started the game was I found it fascinating, the kind of graphical fidelity of the scenes that you're in, and it got me thinking of, takes me back to Star Wars, not the Star Wars game, but The Mandalorian. Have you watched The Mandalorian? Any of The Mandalorian?
I'm not a big Star Wars fan, to be honest, man. The guys in the band spoke about it a few times, and they were enjoying the episodes and whatever else, and I was just like, I'm no bothered.
Yeah.
Like I would watch a Star Wars film if somebody put one on. I remember playing Knights of the Old Republic and a couple of other old Star Wars games, really enjoying them.
Right.
And that's about as far into it as I ever got. I just see when it comes to like fantasy and sci-fi stuff, see if it's not like dystopian. I pretty much, if it's not dystopian, I'm not bothered. As bad as that sounds, I even haven't or played a BioShock, despite that kind of fitting my thing, just because it's kind of based in older times.
Okay.
Because I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
A shit weirdo.
Well, I'm not going to sit and praise The Mandalorian because I actually didn't even bother finishing it, because after maybe 4 or 5 episodes, I just felt that it wasn't going anywhere. It was just, Mandalorian goes to new planet, for no real reason. Something happens, solves problem, leaves planet to go to somewhere else. What is this serving? Anyway, this does tie in with something. So I saw a video on YouTube just recently where they were talking about how The Mandalorian was filmed, and it wasn't filmed using, it wasn't filmed on set, and it wasn't filmed using green screens. It was all filmed on digital, like they had fully immersive 300, not quite 360, but wide LED panels behind them.
Right.
Which had all of the scenery projected onto it, and it was all created in Unreal Engine, and that's really useful for them because it means that they get actual natural lighting coming in from behind them rather than having a green screen, which you'll get the bleed from the from the green on your subjects. But no, cooler than that is if the camera moves, the scenery is all programmed to know where the camera is, so the scenery will adjust with the camera, so you get the natural motion, so you can have sort of depth of field behind the actors and everything. And it's genuinely incredible because I watched the Mandalorian stuff, and nothing while I was watching that made me think that this was anything other than filmed on location, because this is a Star Wars production. Why wouldn't it be filmed on location? They're well known for going and filming things on location in all over the world. But no, almost all of that show was shot on a soundstage, which I thought was super cool. So I know you're thinking, Levi, what does this have to do with what you were talking about? Well, this brings us back to The Last of Us. Graphically very impressive. And then we have to talk about Ellie, and we have to talk about these guitar videos. Now, I admire the fact that they've gone to the effort of being able to allow you to play the guitar in game, but for a game that really prides itself so dramatically, so significantly on being able to allow you to play things in the game and make it look semi-realistic, fuck me, is the guitar playing like not passable? Fuck me, is it not acceptable the way it looks when she plays? I'm going to put some of this on screen now. In fact, could you load it up, Mike? So because I imagine you probably haven't watched it. But if you
not the one you linked, but I've got it here.
Yeah, if you could hit play on that and just talk to me about what you can see in her hands while she's playing.
Okay.
I'll play it. I'll have it on screen so people can check out. So the initial sort of picking of the arpeggios, that's relatively acceptable. I mean, there's something very unnatural about the way the fingers pluck the strings. Yeah.
I mean, the video I watched before this one was her playing full chords, and it looked pretty passable. Like, it wasn't bad. Whereas this looks like somebody's like MIDI programmed it in, and the game doesn't anticipate the movements quick enough.
It's just for me, like, the strumming motion doesn't even look remotely realistic. When there is the odd moment during it where she does do a little strum, and there's something about the way the hand is positioned. It just doesn't look quite right to me. And really oddly, when you look at all of the chords, open E minor, open G, open C, everything, anytime there's a D chord, it's a bar chord at the 5th fret. The hand just jumps up to play this bar chord at the 5th fret, which is very strange, very, very strange. For a game as detailed as that, it just really surprises me that a little bit more care and attention didn't go into that, especially when you were going to go to the effort of releasing a Taylor guitar in conjunction with your game that looked like the one in the game. So yeah.
What I would say is, whoever KW Foxy is, the person that's put this video up that I'm watching at the moment, why?
What? Why would you
go? Why would you go to all that effort to make a computer game character passably play a song? Like, it just seems like way more effort than necessary.
Well,
that's just my opinion on it. I'm not shitting on them. It's creative, but
it's probably more creative than us just sitting and talking about it. At least they did something.
Again, I'm not heralding that I'm any more creative than this person.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But I'm also not wasting hours of my time trying to learn how to jump between 5 separate menus.
Yeah.
To play certain chords in a computer game so that I can play a cover of a song.
Yeah.
That you could probably spend as much time and learn how to play guitar for yourself.
Well, I mean, let's be realistic. We do know that there's a good reason for them to have done that. It has 1.3 million views on YouTube, so it will have made them a significant amount of money.
I would disagree it's going to have made them any money.
Why?
Surely that would get copyright strike because it's content from the game.
No. You're allowed to stream and use content from games like that.
Right, cool. I'm going to find a way to hack in some MIDI, and I'm going to find Ellie. Is it Ellie?
Yeah.
Ellie playing some Party Cannon, and I'm going to upload it, and there'll be no views, but we'll see what happens.
Mate, I absolutely guarantee you people would love that. It's not a bad idea. I quite like that. The thing that bugs me in that is he's clearly gone to a lot of effort to try and get her to play that. But, and I was looking at the chords when he was selecting them there. There was an F sharp minor, so you could select the note F sharp. And you need that. He doesn't do it. There's the descending bass and dum dum dum, and he just has da da dum. Plays the G twice.
Probably nearly impossible to flick between all three at that time.
Yeah.
Whereas it's easier just to play the double G.
Yeah. I can't help but, to be completely honest, I admire that he hasn't done it. But if I was making that video, if I was uploading it, I would have just pitch corrected that one note.
And it wouldn't be a true experience, Levi.
I know. But good effort, sir. Good effort, sir.
Aye, fair play, right? For all the, I don't know why you did it.
Yeah.
You did do it, and you done it not bad, so okay, fair enough.
Speaking of, I don't know why you did it, but you did it anyway. Zach Sabbath have re-recorded Black Sabbath's entire debut album.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. We did talk about this. It was kind of hinted at briefly before. The main reason I thought this would be cool to talk about is actually Metal Sucks' kind of negative spin on this. So why don't you, have you got the story?
Yes, I'll read away since you're an old man. Sorry, because he's no well. I'm being nice to him, nearly. Right, so the tagline at the top is Zach Sabbath have re-recorded Black Sabbath's entire debut album. This was 2 days ago on Metal Sucks by Axl Rosenberg. I don't know why we're supporting Metal Sucks still, but okay, fair enough.
Well, to be fair, we're not going to. We're really going to rip into them for this.
Oh, good. Right, even better. So, have you ever listened to Black Sabbath's self-titled debut album and thought, this is great, but I wish it was someone else playing the exact same songs without many other differences? No, of course you haven't. Nobody has.
Right, let's stop him there, shall we? Do you remember when Kerrang put out that version of all the popular metal bands of the day doing Master of Puppets, the whole album?
Was it not like a Roadrunner United style thing?
Yeah, Trivium did they do Master of Puppets? I'm sure they did. Yeah, they did Master of Puppets. Machine Head did Battery. The real good one on there was Charlie Simpson's band. What were they called?
Fight Star.
Fight Star. Yeah, they did Leper Messiah, and that was good.
Really, I'll need to give that a listen. Credit where credit's due. I don't know what other projects Charlie does that's like out there, but I quite liked Fight Star. I thought they had a couple of good tracks.
Yeah, same. They were just unfortunately never going to be taken seriously because of his busted history. But what I'm getting at is when that was released, everybody was talking about that in a positive way.
Apparently.
Yeah, I've still got it on CD. They were talking about it in a positive way because have you ever listened to such and such a band's album and thought, this is great, but I wish someone else played the exact same songs without many other differences? No, of course you haven't. Nobody. Totally disagree. There are a ton of albums that I would love to hear, absolutely love to hear other bands, maybe not necessarily one band, but different people's interpretations of those original recordings. No doubt in my mind that there will probably be albums out there that you would share the same opinion on. No? Yeah?
I think I would like to hear other people do covers of albums. I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Even at least songs, if they're fairly accurate to the original, but like have their own spin. I mean, Faith No More doing Easy, Lionel Richie. That's a great cover because it's their own, but it's very honest to the original.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. But I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah. Dream Theater did on their.
They did Master of Puppets, just a rhyme without a reason. According to James Labrie,
they have like a bootleg label, Yetzi Jam Records, and on that they did put out the entirety of Master of Puppets. They put out the entirety of Dark Side of the Moon. They put out a Maiden album. Which Maiden album was it?
Power Slave?
Number of the Beast? Maybe.
Killers, maybe? Don't know.
I forget. They also put out a Deep Purple record live in Japan. Anyway, those are, Dream Theater fans super into that. So the idea of bands re-recording, seminal albums from other artists is not an outrageous notion. It's totally not an outrageous notion. I think it's really cool. I'll allow you to continue reading the story now before I rip into Metal Sucks for their bad opinions more.
I can see you getting yourself like revved up, like, oh no, I'm going to fucking call these people
fuck you,
names.
Axl Rosenberg.
Get that clipped and just have that in a soundboard. Sorry, I'll continue. And yet, Zach Sabbath, the Black Sabbath tribute band featuring Ozzy guitarist Zakk Wylde, Ozzy bassist Blasco, and former Queens of the Stone Age drummer Joey Castillo, have re-recorded Black Sabbath in its entirety. Their version of the album, which will be called Vertigo, the name of the label that released Sabbath, is intended as a celebration of the original 50th anniversary, which occurred this past February. Although this strikes me as somewhat pointless endeavour, it's clearly not intended for the casual fan anyway. In a press release, Zach says that Vertigo won't be made available digitally, so to make the release feel authentic to the time when vinyl ruled the earth. So people who hear Vertigo will really want to have to hear Vertigo. Although, to be clear, Vertigo is getting a release on CD, not just vinyl. Vertigo comes out September 4th, Magnetic Eye Records, and can be pre-ordered here. The title track can be streamed below.
Yeah. So I guess my opinion of that is, why is he inserting his opinion into this? And I know that seems ridiculous because I'm literally saying, I guess my opinion of that is. But people don't go to Metal Sucks to read Axl Rosenberg's opinions on things, I don't think.
What I would say, and dispute of that is the fact the website is called Metal Sucks, which is an opinion right away, whether it's a daft one or no.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
and the amount of articles on there that are just things like, what does Cody Taylor think and all that kind of shit, you know what I mean? I think there is quite a lot of opinion here. I don't think it's fact-based journalism.
I just feel that this deserved a fact-based telling of what is happening, and
It's been
trying to
tainted for the first sentence.
Yeah, he's trying to put people off it, and I don't think there's a reason to do that. I think actually, Black Sabbath's self-titled album is an unbelievably important album in the history of rock and metal music. It's 50 years old, which is super cool. And the fact that somebody has taken the time to sort of commemorate that, and it's not just anybody commemorating it, you know, it's somebody with, all right, loose but definite ties to the band. That to me is cool. That's
it's like Zakk Wylde paying tribute to Ozzy directly.
So yeah, I'll check it out. I'm a little bit annoyed that it's not being released digitally, because that means that I'll have to
Buy a CD,
which I was hoping I'd never have to do again. But okay,
phone Kendall, he can give you some advice on buying a vinyl player and an amp.
Fucking hell. I have a vinyl, one solitary piece of vinyl.
Really?
I do, yeah. I have Thank You Scientist's second album, Stranger Heads Prevail, on vinyl, because I got the expensive digital collector's version of that album when it came out, and it came with a vinyl. And I'm like, well, fuck am I going to do with this?
Keep it.
Yeah.
Look after it.
I will keep it and look after it. So thank you very much.
Shout out to Tom Mond and the boys. Love yous.
Yeah, we'll have Tom on at some point soon.
Well, we're talking about that, but we'll keep that under wraps for now.
Okay, Dream Theater, Portnoy and Petrucci reunite. We mentioned John Petrucci releasing his upcoming solo album, which was called, what was it called?
Terminal Velocity.
That's the one, Terminal Velocity. Yeah, he's reuniting with Mike Portnoy for it.
Looks like it.
Didn't see that coming.
No, me neither. I actually find it quite silly, if I'm totally honest. Like, worked together for years in a band, not in the band together. Oh, I'm going to do a solo project, right? I'll come and play drums for that. Like,
well,
I don't know.
I think there's probably two ways you can look at this. I think this hints. There's been a lot of talk of there being another Liquid Tension Experiment album.
Okay.
And of course they were both involved in that. So
Jordan Rudess play keyboard in that?
Yeah.
Although he was originally the keyboard player for Dream Theater, correct?
Say that again.
Jordan Rudess, was he the original keyboard player for Dream Theater?
No, he was their third keyboard player.
Right.
They had Kevin someone or other. Fuck, how have I forgot their original keyboard player's name?
The reason I started talking about it is because I knew that you would know. Oh, that's right, Derek Sherinian, sorry. Who's featured on the Enigma Code album.
Yeah. And then it was Tony Levin as well in Liquid Tension Experiment. So, yeah, they're a cool band. Anyway, I guess what I'm pointing out is it could be, we could use this as sort of adding credence to the idea that another Liquid Tension Experiment album is coming. But I also like the idea that John Petrucci needs to release a solo album. He spent his entire life playing in Dream Theater. No real experience of going outside of that and doing projects other than Dream Theater, other than, of course, Liquid Tension Experiment, which Portnoy played drums on, and of course his An Evening with Jordan Rudess album, which pretty sure that doesn't have drums on. I've not listened to it in a very, very long time. I guess what I'm getting at is, if you're John Petrucci and you need somebody to play drums on something, why is someone phoning me? You need someone to play drums on something. Who else are you going to call other than the guy that just plays on any project that's going? He doesn't know who else to call. Who are you going to call? Mike Portnoy. He probably wasn't happy about it. Yeah. I'm cool with it, though. I think I'm cool with it. I think they have a long enough history with each other. I think their musical styles inevitably gel incredibly well with each other.
You're cool with it is an understatement, because you are, whether you want to admit it or not, and whether people know it or not, a complete fanboy for Dream Theater. Maybe not so much now as much as you were before, but that never leaves you. That's like like Blaney and Chris that plays bass in Party Cannon, they're both like the biggest Iron Maiden fans I can think of. Like you could mention a song title and they'd be like, it was on this album, they recorded it here, they used these instruments, they used the 15th take for that guitar part, that was mixed by so and so, like just pinpoint precision knowledge, and you're kind of the same with things.
Well, I have more of I don't have an eidetic memory, but I have a good memory for things. So I do, all right, with most Dream Theater stuff, I can tell you what album it was on, and I can usually tell you when the album was released, etc. But at the same time, I can't remember their original keyboard player's name. So clearly not a super fan. I know, all right, I have anymore. A tattoo, but
not anymore.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Well, it's where I came from. There was a long period of my life where they were the biggest and most important influence on me, but it's certainly not been that way for best part of 10 years. So it's they could release a Dream Theater album called Levi Clay, You're Awesome, and I still wouldn't be that interested in listening to it. Thank you very much.
You fucking liar. You fucking liar. Especially because it's got your name on it and it's a compliment.
A rare thing.
You've been on the internet too much being a contrarian.
Yeah. Album also features Dave LaRue playing bass. Dave is a great player. He's played with Steve Morse a hell of a lot.
Dixie Dregs, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, he didn't play in the Dregs. He played in Steve Morse's band.
Are you sure? Because it says in the article that Dave LaRue from Dixie Dregs.
So he may have ended up filling in Dixie Dregs, but he certainly wasn't the original,
okay,
back in the day bass player. I'd be embarrassed if I'm totally wrong on that, but I'm sure that wasn't the case. I was sure when Steve went solo away from the Dregs, he went solo. Went and did his own thing with a completely new lineup. But track listing is Terminal Velocity, The Odd Father, Happy Song, terrible name, Gemini, Out of the Blue, Glass-Eyed Zombies, The Way Things Fall, Snake in My Boot, and Temple of Circadia.
Circadia, like a circadian rhythm.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why I put an extra I in there. Circadia, that makes more sense.
Because you can't read? We've went over this?
I saw someone posting about this on Facebook and they were quite excited about the fact that Gemini was on the album. So that would imply that I guess that was a song that Petrucci must have done on G3. Or he's done it somewhere. He must have played it a fair few times that fans of his are excited about it getting a proper recording. And again, to defend myself, I have no idea what that song is. So completely not interested.
Defend yourself, because I don't know either. You're all good.
But I'll check the album out when it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a listening party?
Yeah, I mean, I've still been meaning to do a listening party on the fucking...
Thrust and Peace?
Yeah, and Guns N' Roses.
I mean, we couldn't really do it considering the only time I've been in your presence has been fixing the computer. So
yeah,
we've been trying to be good with fucking guidelines.
Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close.
No,
yeah,
we're 2 meters apart.
I know. Let's do the Scottish Arts Venues Relief Fund.
Yes. So anyone who listens to this podcast has probably got some interest in the creative arts and the music industry and music business in general. I'd be very shocked if there's anybody on here just for the shits and giggles of I hate music, but I like Levi and Mike's voices. I doubt that's going to be the case. Anyway, there has been talks over and over and over about the UK essentially needing an injection from the government or some sort of private subsidy or grants or whatever. I think the figure they had worked out would needed to be to support all venues and local music and music acts, etc. Would have been about 50 million, and that was between Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland, I believe. Might be wrong in saying that. Anyway, there has been some wonderful news released yesterday, which had me kind of happy, and a lot of my friends who I've seen struggling throughout the last few months with lockdown, them being people who work in the music industry, either venue owners or promoters or tour managers, some musicians, all that kind of thing. Everybody's feeling the squeeze. No venues are open. No money can be made unless you're into YouTube, and that is a super saturated market.
Yeah.
As is podcasts, and I'm not saying that as in any slight on anyone, like, "Oh, I can't believe people are starting up podcasts now they're locked in their house." Like, it's great. I think it's fantastic. It's great that isn't, there's so many options for people,
Yeah.
but it's so hard to make money on.
Oh,
It's
yeah. Like,
essentially what I'm getting to. It's
yeah.
not a sustainable one form or one source of income for anybody.
If you've lost a
unless you're
source
Joe
of
Rogan.
income and you think, oh, I'm going to start up podcasting, good fucking luck to you. Like,
Aye.
we've been podcasting for literally years now.
Yep.
This podcast doesn't make money.
Nope, and that's why you should go below and buy some t-shirts and stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think we're lucky in the sense that at least we get enough stuff coming in that it covers the cost of hosting for the year.
Yeah.
And you know what? That suits me fine. I'm not bothered about it making fucking great amounts of money. In fact, actually, just the other day, Levi and I were talking about potentially trying to sort out some sort of competition and giveaway of stuff. So there is that. But once we've got a plan for that, we'll talk about it. I think we spoke about it before for t-shirts and it didn't really happen, but we'll go for there. Anyway, back to the news. Scottish performing arts venues receive £10 million rescue package. The performing arts venues in Scotland have received access to a £10 million relief fund as the government states it is actively considering support for GMVs. I don't know what GMV is, but I'm sure it'll be further explained.
Genetically modified venues.
That's enough of that, you. So the Scottish Culture Secretary, Fiona Hislop's imaged here. She must be the one that's been pushing it forward. So as of yesterday, there was a £10 million rescue fund for the performing arts venues announced for venues that were unable to reopen due to the coronavirus crisis. Performing Arts Venues Relief Fund will be run by Creative Scotland as part of a wider £185 million business support fund. Now, anybody who runs a venue, works in a venue, does live sound, basically aimed in the creative arts, is probably going, thank fuck, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much of the money you're going to get or whether you're going to see it or what, but this is a step in the right direction of going, well, wait a wee minute. This is something. And there's an argument to be had in there as well. Like, people go mad without the arts. Can you imagine what it'd be like in real life to not have TV to rely on, to not have music to rely on, to not have computer games to rely on, all of these creative outlets that you take for granted as without value, at least in a monetary sense.
Yep.
Especially with the lockdown. Nancy's got really into computer games. Kind of started happening before lockdown. All the spare time's added on to that. But I think there's an emerging conversation to be had on the relevancy of the arts being part of a support network or a support plan for people in terms of not going fucking stir crazy because they bring value and distraction to your life and they're a good pastime, they're healthy for you.
I'd go one further than that. Like, it's we live for it, because if we don't live for the things we enjoy, the music, the entertainment, the arts type things, then what are you living for? You're living for to literally just work? Do you wake up every day and just to work? I don't get it.
No, you're bang on. I think it's hard to make that argument, like completely, because other people do get things from doing stuff outside of the creative arts. Like, I know a lot of people who are into cars that love taking bits off their cars and fixing them and putting them back on and modifying and whatever else, or going hill walking and stuff, which isn't really related to the arts or whatever. But at the same time, for these people to share that with you and share those passions, what are they doing? Taking pictures, taking videos, editing the videos, finding creative ways to get you immersed in it. Yeah. It is immersive media, whether you think about it or not, when other people share these experiences. So I think
that hurts our case in the long run, though, because they do that and they do it for free, and it doesn't really cost them any time or effort. So
do you think Danny McCaskill doesn't make money?
I'm just saying that because so many people can do that, like your amateurs do that, and they upload shit to Instagram and they do it because they enjoy doing it. It ends up with that inevitable argument of, well, I do creative things and I don't make any money and I do it for free just out of the love of it. So everybody that does creative things should do them for the love of it and do it for free. Kill me.
I don't think that's an argument that I would align, but I get what you're saying.
It's an argument you've heard made.
Fair, right, but I mean, this is maybe going to involve getting you into rage time. We're going to talk about Peter, your friend. Like, You can set the value on your
list
content.
that down.
you can create the value, or you can set the value of your content,
Yes.
of what you think is worth engaging with.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to cost money for people like you and I or the general public to access. There's other ways to make money on it. People, I just mentioned Danny McCaskill, Ken Block. They're not charging you to watch the Gymkhana videos or like Danny McCaskill on his mountain bike. He does it through sponsorships and competitions and other creative industry ways of making money. So there's plenty of options there.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, I'll continue with this story because I've taken us right off track. And I want to save you getting into that rant for when you've got just the right headspace to get into it. All right?
Yeah.
So, the fund aims to remove the threat of insolvency for venues before the end of March 2021, allow for specialist and core staff to return from furlough or avoid redundancy to work on future sustainability plans, and increase the opportunities for the employment of freelance artists and creative practitioners. The Scottish Government also says it is actively considering support, specifically for grassroots music venues, GMVs. That, to me, if you're going to do what you're saying you're doing, fucking wire in. Beautiful, great thing. I don't think it's enough money, but I also don't think it's too little money for it to start things moving.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more on that. It's nowhere near enough, but
at the same time, if it stops
better
the
than
next
England.
6 months, every venue shutting, I'm all down, because by that point we could potentially see things changing.
Yeah.
And if it's part of a wider, as it says, £185 million effort for the creative industries and for small businesses in that side, then at least the conversations there of, well, wait, how far do we need to take it? How much do we need to put into this?
Yeah.
And the arts are always underfunded. Like, it's only historically mega bourgeoisie that can afford to just throw money at people.
Yeah.
Like bards, etc. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the perfect argument for it. Like, they're the only people that really made money, but they also could have been killed for anything they said and done.
Yeah.
It's like, you are purely for amusement. No.
Yeah.
There's value there too.
I think traditionally when you think of the idea of funding the arts, we're often talking about like theatre and things
Yes.
like that, right? Where, okay, I can see why you might make an argument that funding for theatre is not the best use of funding, because the theatre traditionally is not for the rich, but certainly not for the poor. Poor people can't afford to go to the theatre. Poor people can't afford to go and see musicals. You know what I mean?
I saw a great argument online that I think you will be into, because it's just so...
Go for it.
Right, so exactly on that point, right? So, like, pubs don't really need help pushed back into, like, especially not like Witherspoons and stuff. Fuck
Yeah.
Tim Martin. Just well I can get that in there. Don't edit this out or I will kill you.
You'll
right,
never
but
know.
I know. Cunt. Whereabouts are we in the recording? Because I'm going to check this when you upload it. I'm only kidding. No, right, so I seen somebody talking about, right, so the theatres are genuinely at risk of dying. For the most part, probably not a big deal. But I know you didn't grow up here, Levi. I don't know if this is something that happens where you are down south or whatever, but
Right.
pantomimes at Christmas, like, they're a big tradition.
Yeah.
So here, that is a big thing. Like, the singing kettle was a big thing. I think it was a big thing down south as well.
Yeah.
We used to have theatre groups, like Baldy Baines was one of them, come into primary schools and have days with you and stuff, right? And it was great. It was really engaging. And it was good fun, and they could do like indirect learning with it. You know what I mean? Like, they could tell you a story, but had like like an overarching theme, and you would get that theme and whatever else, right? So I think there's a great bit of value in that, but funding it is obviously hard, and it's hard to justify when, as you say, it seems to be something that really only caters for people who are affluent, for the most part, when you're talking about theatre, at least for like ballet or opera or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I saw somebody saying the other day, why don't we just not open the pubs and everybody can just drink in the theatres? Like, fucking brilliant. So you're going to have a pub and entertainment at the same place? You've just made them like open venues?
Well, I can tell you exactly why you don't do that.
Why?
Because last time I went to a theatre and went to buy a drink, I got a 330ml bottled glass of alcohol that cost me £6. That's why people don't go and drink in theatres.
Here's why it's different. Those theatres are at risk of shutting down.
Right.
People need good places to drink, and pubs across the board, there are plenty of the chains that are shit.
Yeah.
If the theatre realigns their focus of, why don't we just have the bar reasonably priced for people to come in, even if they just want a couple of pints, because they want to support the theatre, they're not bothered about whatever the art is, and we still have the arts for the people who have the money, then two birds with one stone.
If theatres want to keep theatres alive, then make what you do more accessible and more appealing to Joe Public.
Are you trying to tell me that you wouldn't go to the opera pissed as fuck?
It
would be great.
I can guarantee I would not go to the opera pissed as fuck. Yeah,
you shite bag. I'd be up the back getting it like out my nut, loving it. You kidding?
I'm not a stranger to the theatre. Like, I love the theatre, and we talk about musicals on the show. And you've said that you'd like to go to some more musicals.
I've seen The Lion King, and that was fucking tremendous.
I fucking hated it.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen too many great musicals to consider that as being one of them.
In fact, just when we're talking about it, I was supposed to be going to the fucking the Book of Mormon.
Oh yeah,
last fucking week.
Oh fuck yes, mate.
It was supposed to be like almost front row, dinner, drinks, like Nancy got like the prestige package for Christmas, man. I love it to bits. We also had the conversation. She's like, see, for like Christmas and that, don't ever buy me anything that's to do with events. Just get me items. Because see that shit, man, it's nightmare material.
What's the situation with that? Has it been rescheduled or?
I think it's been rescheduled, but we also had a hotel booked from Nancy's brother and sister for Christmas, which is obviously down the pipes as well. So that was meant to be like a really nice getaway for me and Nancy to go Book of Mormon, get a couple of drinks, have a nice night, hotel overnight in Glasgow or whatever, go for a nice breakfast. Like,
you've marked your card now. Like, as soon as theatres are back open and we head in towards Christmas, that's what you're getting. I'm taking you to a musical.
Can you imagine you and I sitting in the middle of this pantomime and there's like just hundreds of 8 to 10 year olds us sitting singing along? He's behind you. And you're like, no, fucking smash him.
We'll end up going to see Wicked for like the 8th fucking time or whatever. But
I'm telling you right now, just so you're aware, if you buy tickets for like Wicked or Cats, I won't be there.
I mean, you're doing the same thing as you do with Avenged Sevenfold, though. Like, Wicked is a wonderful musical. You'll just shut. Like, what? Tell me, flesh that out. Flesh that out for our audience.
Flesh what out?
That if you buy tickets for Wicked, I won't be there.
Okay, I went to school with a lot of people who were into like musical theatre, and there was musical theatre groups,
right?
And their persistence of how great it was put me right off. It's like people who super stan Radiohead or the Beatles or the Stones or Dream Theatre to a degree.
Yeah.
See people that just like throw it down your throat to put me off for life. And I've had exposure to those things, sadly. It's like, see if the first time we met, I just kept harping on about Buckethead. I know I did quite a bit, but if I'd kept that going, you would get to the point where you'd just be like, you know what, man, I'm not even going to try and get into this because you're putting me off so hard.
Focus on my face.
Back in the room.
It's not happening. Focus on my face. All right, don't. Just focus on my guitar.
It started. Put your finger really close to your camera. Let it focus on your finger and then pull it out. Or put your face really close to the camera and then pull it out. I'm never asking you to pull out again. Nah. But I'm sure you understand my point. People that stand things to the point where you're like, I don't even want to give it a chance because you, as a fan base, even if you're one person, have led me to think this is a toxic culture and therefore bin.
So I do, but only up to a certain point. And when I say up to a certain point, I mean up to a certain point in my life. It's done it again. There we go.
Because you're sitting to the side.
I'm just going to have to sit here.
Yes.
I guess. I don't know where the centre is because I've got like a cropped version of the image.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Anyway, so only up to a certain point in my life. Like there comes a certain point where I look back on, I've had that attitude around so many things in life that there has come a point where I've had to go, well, actually, as an adult, I can now form my own opinion on something like this. And I'm glad, like, I didn't want to. Lion King's actually probably a good example of that. I've seen a lot of musicals and I hadn't seen The Lion King up until this recent year. It wasn't something that appealed to me. Didn't want to go and see The Lion King. But then I thought Hayley would really be into it, so I went to go and see it. And now I can make my informed opinion of it. I don't like it. I thought it was garbage.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, but whatever's in Edinburgh, whatever, I don't even know the name of that theatre. Whatever's there, you're going to be stuck at it. That's just the way it is, and it'll be
just going to be in the ticket hall forever, haunting the corridor.
I'll make you really happy with this, because it will mean going to Edinburgh, right? Which means we can go to Wings, the restaurant Wings that only serves hot wings, which is incredible, and you'll get to experience the magic that is. Whenever Levi Clay goes to Edinburgh, he nearly shits himself. That's I don't know why. I don't know how this happens. It's probably because every time I go to Edinburgh, I usually have to go to Wings, right? But there will come a moment where I'll be walking down the street with Hayley, or even when I'm on my own, and I'll just go all white and I'll go, oh my God, I need to find a toilet. What is going on? What has happened here? And it started to... Like, Hayley won't even go to Edinburgh with me anymore because she thinks it's the Edinburgh air. I think it's the Edinburgh people because I'm not... It's not for me. Edinburgh's like Scotland's London, you know?
Yes.
So I'm not crazy on Edinburgh at all. I don't like Edinburgh at all.
If you want to have an experience of what Scotland is really like, you go to Glasgow. If you want to go to tourist Scotland, you go to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there aren't beautiful tourist spots to go to, like Donan Castle, Loch Lomond, Loch Ness, like Stirling Castle. Like, all these places are really minted, but in terms of cities for culture, if you want to experience what Glasgow's actually like, which is you'll probably find a jakey trying to ask you for 20 pence and then shooting up in front of you, but being nice to you, you'll go to Glasgow.
Yep.
If you want to deal with pretentious wanks who are either super overly nice because they've hit that like American model of service equals just being super unbelievably sweet and nice, and the other end of the spectrum is people just not bothered about you because you're not going to make them money. Edinburgh.
And also Edinburgh,
that's
if you
really,
want to see
really
a piper on the street, no matter where you are, you'll always hear a piper. They'll always.
Well, I mean, you do get that outside of Glasgow, but most of the time because that like people get married in chapels and churches and they'll be out front with the piper going off.
Yeah.
Bagpipes are, and this is probably a divisive comment, they don't bother me. They seem to upset quite a lot of people. But I mean, I'm kind of used to the drone of them, and I kind of understand that that's part of the sound. But other people kind of hear them and they're like, it's like somebody like, I don't know, like punctured a hot air balloon and it's like coming down to the ground.
You're also just a proud Scot, so.
I'm not. I don't think I would say that I'm nationalistic at all, because I think being a proud Scot, what am I proud of? None of these achievements are mine. Have I read that comment wrong? Have I got you wrong on what you're meaning by that? Because I try to avoid any conversation where we talk about being nationalistic on, like,
yeah,
just
but
for obvious reason.
Yeah, I think it's easy to hear the term nationalistic, like proud of where you're from, as being like protective of where you're from. It's entirely possible to be proud of where you're from, but also not. Like a bigot.
No, you're fair. Yeah. I do love Scotland in the sense that it's a beautiful country. I think it's taken for granted by people who live here. We've got arguably the world's most abundant and cleanest water source. Like, I don't think I've ever taken you up, but there's a place not far from here called Lead Hills.
No, never been.
Right. So you drive down the motorway to Abington and come off and go up as if you're going towards Sanker on the bank roads, right? Which takes you through One Loch Head, which is the highest point in terms of sea level. And I think it's the UK, at least in terms of like a village, if not in Scotland. You can gold pan in the rivers there, and you see people doing it like recreationally, but obviously trying to make money, find gold, and I think people are quite successful. But not far from there, there's a place called the Lead Hills, and essentially you can go into this valley, and there's a river runs down the side of the road, and you're inside between two big hills.
I know exactly where that is.
You've been there, yeah, and it's like kind of flat, and sometimes there's sheep roaming about, but see, like good weather, beautiful. See when you're there, right? See if it's raining, for example, or it has just been raining. As the rain's coming down the side of the hill, you can bottle that and drink it. It's as clean as it gets. It's literally from source. I mean, it's clean as rainwater gets, if you know what I mean. But like, it's not horrible. Like you have that abundantly. You could literally go there. I did it when I was camping. It was pissing down. I was like, I really want to drink some nice water. Walked along to the hill, filled a bottle off the side of what was essentially a wee kind of waterfall coming down this stream down the hill, and it was perfectly fine. It was beautiful to drink.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of natural resources as a country, we're abundantly lucky, especially for like scenic parts as well.
But if we take this back to what we're talking about, which is this.
Sorry, I know I went right off topic there.
No, but to kind of illustrate, I guess what I was getting at, and being like proud of being Scottish, you would never, if somebody said described you as British, you would hate the idea of people thinking you were British or English, because you're not. You don't want to be associated with the English. You're proud of being Scottish. Definitely not English. And when we look at this story of the arts funding, we have to look at this and go, I'm proud that my country is in a position where they're sensible enough to consider the arts important. I'm proud of that I'm in a country that, despite the fact of pressure from south of the border, hasn't immediately just said, oh yeah, throw away the lockdown rules. Or the things that make the most sense. You're proud that, I'm in a country that seems to care about its people a little bit more than it cares about other aspects.
Just money. It's trying. And I do kind of take on board your point when you're saying like I wouldn't want to be seen as British or English, but that only really happens when you're abroad. And the reason I think Scots are so hasty to be like, no, I'm Scottish, is because, and you probably know it yourself, man, like your accent is the first thing that people pick up on when you're in different countries. And if the assumption of Scottish is, oh, bagpipes, merry, whiskey, and like the association with English is, and this is horrible to say, is like just drunk, annoying tourist causing hassle. Am I wrong? I'm not being nasty. There aren't, not everybody's like that. I love a lot of England. I love a lot of English people. I love you. I do.
I'd never really considered it. I'd never really considered it. I guess part of it is because, as you well know, what people think of me or what people think of people from where I'm from isn't something that ever enters my mind. I don't give a fuck.
Fair.
Plus, also, I'm used to being called Australian. That's usually what happens to somebody with an English accent whenever you're abroad. Ah, Australian.
Chris gets that.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, no, I'm Scottish, but I'm also part Irish. Yeah. No, you're Australian. He's like, I am not. But I think it's because they all expect, oh, hoots, man. You know what I mean? Like the fucking broad Doric. As I was telling you earlier, I was potentially going to try and read some stories in Doric, but it's never going to go ahead. For anybody that's listening and doesn't know what Doric is, essentially Doric is like the now potentially extinct Scottish dialect. It's the Scottish version of English, which is before English really became the predominant language of the world. So we kind of invented it. Don't want to flex or anything, but just telling the truth.
I really want to move on from this, right? But it's reminded me of something that I saw this week. And what you just said there, language and history and things like that, and also ties in with what I wanted to say, which is, well, there is not wanting to be mistaken for being English because the English have a reputation for being obnoxious and drunk, but also you have to remember you had a long history in school of being taught about all the abhorrent things that the English did to the Scottish. Because
didn't really happen up here in terms of history. A lot of the curriculum is actually more along the lines of just Britain.
How do you mean?
There's not a deep dive in Scotland of Scottish versus English history. Genuinely, you need to go out and find that yourself.
Are you encouraged to go out and find that?
Not so much, and that's, I think, because even though, and we're going to end up getting into politics here, Levi. I'm just warning you. The argument that Scottish has anything devolved doesn't hold up in my mind, because if it was really devolved, we wouldn't be worrying about what portion of the budget for the year would be getting allotted from Westminster from England. So I think bigger picture, England still has a grip on the balls of Scotland, as it does the rest of the UK. So where the money is, you're going to have to fall in line to get the money, and this is the curriculum that we see falling in line with whatever curriculum they've got, curriculum for Scotland and blah, blah, blah. I don't think there's a big focus really on you're from Scotland and therefore we're going to tell you all about what happens. I think you actually get more knowledge on like the Troubles, even though that was Ireland and it's less relevant in Scotland. Or actually, it's quite relevant in Scotland, but
You would think, I definitely think you would think that, but also at the same time you have to think that like, a significantly lower quality of sex education if you come from like a religious schooling background. If you went to a well-known
I went to a Catholic school
yeah.
and there was not a lot of sexual education.
You'd think that would be an equal part of said curriculum, but yeah,
No.
things vary from school to school, institution
You
to
don't really
institution.
get RE classes like as you do in Catholic schools versus Protestant schools. As far as I'm aware, like RE here is learning about Catholicism, not so much Protestantism or Christianity, but more about Catholicism. To give you an idea, if you take things at higher levels at school, I did higher RMPS, which is Religious, Moral and Philosophical Studies.
Right.
And that was more talking, we ended up going into topics like euthanasia, abortion, all those kind of things.
I thought you were talking about the Megadeth album. Sorry, carry on.
That's it.
You just laughed like Dave Mustaine sings.
Take down the government. That was Kieran's joke all the time. Every Megadeth song, take down the government. Aye, but like, again, I even remember that. I can't remember history having a big focus in Scottish history, except maybe talking about like Bannockburn, William Wallace, but like no being like a major focus, really.
But even that he's mentioned, even that Bannockburn is mentioned, like I brought up because of the thing I was going to mention and the idea of information sort of being presented in a certain way in schools, and I've not actually fact checked this one, but I'm sure it's probably the case because I watch a lot of history videos on YouTube. I take interest in history videos, and for some reason I clicked on a long series of videos on the political things that led up to the Battle of Hastings. I know a reasonable amount about the Battle of Hastings because growing up in England, that would be one of the important battles that is often talked about. And
Scotland has a lot of divisive battles that were spoke about.
Yeah.
For example, the Battle of the Boyne, which is a Catholic versus Protestant.
yeah,
Church of England versus Irish Catholics,
yeah,
essentially.
none of this stuff would come out of England. But the
See?
Yeah, the thing that I took from watching this video was that I always think of the winner of the Battle of Hastings and the eventual king that would come from that would be William the Conqueror, right? William the Conqueror. Everyone knows William the Conqueror. The thing I took from this video is he wasn't known as William the Conqueror when he went into that. He wasn't known as William the Conqueror prior to that. In fact, he wasn't even known as William the Conqueror after that. It wasn't until a fair bit after that where he went around and essentially burned down a large portion of England to make the citizens sort of accept that this is the rule of the country now. Prior to that, he was William the Bastard. And I have to look at that and go, okay.
He should have stayed up to that name, man, because going about just burning shit, like, definitely makes you a bastard.
If he was widely accepted as being William the Bastard because he was born out of wedlock, why was I not told that in school? Oh, okay, because you wouldn't use the word bastard in school. Fucking education, mate. Fucking schools and curriculums.
It's interesting how those things are whitewashed over.
Yeah.
Maybe whitewashed isn't the right term, but
I think it's the right
like,
term, but usually we use that term now meaning something different. Shall we move on?
You want me just to finish reading this story quickly?
Yeah, if you want.
So, just because we mentioned Fiona Hislop, sorry, we went right off topic here, right?
A good conversation.
It was really good. It's just not like us, obviously. So Fiona Hislop's got a quote in here, which is, our theatres and performing arts venues and the talented freelancers who work with them are an essential part of the fabric of Scotland's culture and communities and promote our international reputation, comments Scottish Culture Secretary Fiona Hislop. We are determined that they will survive and be able to thrive again. The Culture Secretary says she recognises that venues have experienced an almost complete loss of income after effectively having to close overnight with the implementation of lockdown laws. She also notes the difficulties that physical distancing measures prevent for venues, adding that the fund will be a vital lifeline to help performing arts venues continue to weather the storm. There's a bit more, but you know what? Good. Yeah, get the money in.
It just seems inevitable that you'd have to go that route. If you, as a government, turn around to your entire populace and say, you can no longer conduct business. And then at the end of that, when you can say, you can go back to conducting business now, for the people to say anything other than, well, hang on a minute, what about all this time you've told, like, you've completely fucked over my industry. and I adhered to that because it was what the government needed. But you're doing it to look after, so fucking look after us. I guess what I wanted to say earlier when I was talking about theatres and it does annoy me that actually we completely missed this. I wanted to say theatres for the rich. I think it's not rich, but well off. Certainly not the poor. Putting money like this into areas where the poor do. Poor is probably the wrong word, but lower income money
where
is
accessible
spent.
Arts
Yeah,
are.
that would be a great way of putting it. But funding the accessible arts. This is an area that will make money, and anything that makes money is taxed. So this is a good thing to support. And you out there, the listeners, live music, when it happens again, go out and enjoy it. It's awesome.
Yes. You can't complain that bands don't come to your city when you won't go to the gigs that are there already.
True.
Bands and booking agents aren't going to book bands that could pull 200 if they can't get 50 in the door for one that should take 100.
Yep.
Is the way to see it.
Gibson /
Yes, I mean, we shouldn't be talking about it because it's a leak, but we'll just barge right in. So, 8 days ago, Music Radar put up, did Gibson accidentally release a new / Les Paul Gold Top guitar early? Because it looks like someone has bought one. So someone's got a YouTube video up. I've not even seen this one, I never read through it. So there's a YouTube video up and it says new Gibson model leaked. This shouldn't have shipped yet. 2020 / Gold Top.
I appreciate that most people would see that and go, oh, fucking clickbaity. But let's go on.
So I'll read verbatim. Well, this is a strange one. It looks like YouTuber, The Trogleys Guitar Show, which for the record, The Trogleys always got quite interesting guitars. That's the dude that does a lot of trading and stuff, eh?
Exactly the point. Like, this is a ridiculously credible source.
Yes. Also, someone that knows a lot about guitars, clearly, and can talk about them and verify, like, the right stuff about it. So, as you say, very, very...
reputable.
Reputable source is the word I was looking for. Relatable was in my brain there for some reason. Sorry. So, YouTuber The Trogley Guitar Show has uncovered a forthcoming Gibson / Gold Top model that seems to have been sold online before it's even been announced by the company.
Oops.
The guitar was purchased from Sweetwater by a customer who saw it listed for sale as a demo model while browsing their website. They then sold it to Austin at the Trogley's Guitar Show. He's now revealed it in the video above. It features the / signature hallmarks along with a 50s neck profile and an unusually dark back for a gold top. Check out the gallery of the guitar below. I would assume Levi's going to put these up on screen.
Yeah, I'm putting these on screen. And when they say an unusually dark back for a gold top, that's the dream back for a gold top for me. When I had my Gibson Les Paul, the 57 gold top custom shop reissue, it was the dark back
mahogany.
Because that's what I'm into. I like those dark back ones. This is a beautiful gold top, and it's only ruined by that fucking / logo on the back of the headstock. But fortunately, it's on the back of the headstock.
I was going to say, I don't even think that ruins it because it's so out the way you wouldn't bother.
If you're into gold tops, that's a winner of a gold top. But again,
I'm not into gold tops, and it's still cracking.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that the / thing ruins it, but the / thing ruins it. And it's not because the / logo is there, it's because what that will add to the price.
Fair, very fair. Okay. So, reading on, it says, it's identified as a 2020 model. Whether it's an actual prototype remains to be seen. It may be a planned launch that got caught up and delayed by the coronavirus chaos that's wreaked havoc on supplies across the music instrument industry. The Trogley's Guitar Show takes a closer look at the guitar on the bench, including looking inside the pickup cavities, to find out more about the model before a demo, which is... Again, just goes to add that he's a verified source and very much a reliable one.
Yeah.
And looking over the Trogley's Reverb store, it looks like he's already sold it on. It's possible Sweetwater might have thought the actual demo model they listed was the 2008 / signature Les Paul Gold Top Gibson, produced in limited numbers in the autumn of that year.
All I want to say when I look at this story is just relentlessly just keep saying, oops. Oops. So, someone's in trouble.
Some big bozos.
Oops.
I find it also strange that your man sold it on. Like, I'm just going to click the link now.
Well, he is essentially a dealer. That's what he does. But he's a buy and seller guy.
It went for... I mean, the listing says the quality of it's very good. I'm guessing there was a couple of finish blames then if it's brand new. And it's at very good, which is what, like 5 out of 8? on the scale and reverb, I think,
Right.
for quality. But this went for £3,335 and 89 pence, which must be about $5,000, maybe.
Yeah, which, you know what? Considering what it is,
$4,000, $3,999.
I don't think that's that bad a price for it.
No.
As a kind of, it depends how much of a nerd you want to be, but you could consider this particular guitar a collector's piece. Because this will always be tied, but this will be the model that we'll look back on 10 years from now as, oh, isn't that the model that got leaked, a year before it was supposed to be out? And then someone will be able to go, I actually own that guitar. There is some history around this particular guitar. So,
And to be fair to Austin, I believe that's the chap's name.
yeah.
I'm just reading through the listing now. He's basically put it up saying, don't know if it's a factory mess up or more likely a prototype that's accidentally made it out the factory when it's supposed to. Doesn't matter. Here's all the details. Blah blah blah. It was listed as a 50 standard gold top in demo condition for a small ding on the top of the headstock. Doesn't fit in with the rest of 50s gold tops. Blah blah blah. And basically just went down and said, like, I can't verify whether it's definitely a prototype or whether it's definitely like a leaked demo or what, but it's still pretty much a unique one-off that no one else has.
Yeah.
So wire in. And good on him, because he's not like scalped MD being like, haha, I've got this ultra rare super guitar.
Well, if anything, he's done himself a minor disservice there, I think, because I think what Music Radar have done when they've talked about it is they're strongly implying that this is a leaked model, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to buy this guitar as a leaked model, you'd be buying it knowing that this time next year, these guitars are going to be on the market and lots of people are going to have these. Whereas Austin seems to have sold it essentially saying it is entirely possible that this guitar is never going to be released. This could remain a one-of-a-kind for all time. And that, to me, would add a lot more value to the guitar.
He's right, though, because as they say, they worked out it was manufactured in February. We're now in July.
Yeah.
No word. So they've either made a load of them and they're sitting until coronavirus fucks off.
Yeah.
Or they've not made them. They started making them and then went back on it. So it's one of those total inevitables. Unpredictables.
Sure.
And which is cool. I really like that. Definitely makes it a one-off.
Okay, let's blast through this final story.
Let's do it.
So this isn't really a story. This was suggested to me by Michael, who is a friend of the show, follower of the show.
Thank you.
Friend of the channel. And he wanted us to talk about this. And I thought I could throw some sort of inflammatory comments at this one. So why not? Yeah, I know.
You've been out of order? I don't believe that.
Yeah, I know. So Rick Beato posted a video, who's the next guitar hero? And this was June 22nd. Would recommend that you go and watch this video maybe before continuing listening to us so you can get Rick's thoughts on this. But in summary, Rick is essentially posing this idea that at least my interpretation of it is, if you want to be that next guitar hero, if you want guitar heroes to come back, you've got to stop with this, here's my instrumental band playing our instrumental fusion type thing. The one thing that great guitar heroes all seem to have in common is they play in big bands, and big bands function as big bands because they write big songs, and they write big songs that have great singers on them, and that you wouldn't remember. Brian May probably wouldn't have a career in music if it wasn't for his partnership with Freddie Mercury, and that Joe Perry probably wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Steven Tyler, etc. You could probably say that, well, you definitely say that Freddie Mercury would have had a career if it wasn't for Brian May. You can definitely say that, and it's interesting to me because singers are incredibly important in the success of a band. So I think that's what Rick's really getting at. But I thought it was
to be a guitar hero, you're like the second vocalist is what he kind of points at. The idea being that you're the backup for when the vocalist needs to take a break.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
But I guess, yeah, I'll ask you the question. Who is going to be the next guitar hero? Or is there anyone on the scene right now that you could say is a modern day guitar hero? Rick obviously mentions John Mayer as being, and I'd give him that. I actually would give him that. I think John is a great player. I think he's a very, very good player. I wanted to say, oh yeah, but guys like Brad Paisley, but then you have to think, well, in terms of mass market appeal, Brad has limited mass market appeal because he does country music. John Mayer definitely has mass market appeal. He writes great songs. He's a great singer. He's a great
He can
guitar
do
player. He's a good-looking guy.
romantic rock stuff. You're
Yeah.
right. It's a hard one. I would, if someone was pushing me and saying who's the next guitar hero, I would say Per Nielsen.
Yeah.
I just would, because like that's a guy who can play emotional. He can play. I'd imagine he can play anything you put in front of him, but he can also play with a great deal of feel and emotion, and he's also a good songwriter.
Yeah, and this is
and works with good vocalists.
but
Go
on.
You might make the same point as me. When we're talking about guitar heroes, or at least the way that Rick Beato was talking about in his examples, are all people who are like super mass marketable, front and centre, selling out stadiums,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Like, the music industry has changed so much since the 80s. I think this argument is stupid. Not stupid, but kind of misguided, because you're not going to have guitar heroes when there's not bands of that size really worrying about big, super cool guitar heroes. Maybe even Mark Tremonti might be like the last guitar hero.
It's a really good name to throw out there, actually, yeah.
Because tremendous player, great songwriter, he can also sing. He could do his thing without Miles Kennedy. He's tried to with the Tremonti band, although Miles was actually doing backup vocals and guitar. But like, I can't really think of any marketable mass rock bands that have a guitarist in the band that holds up as a household name the same as the vocalist does, except a select few, maybe Satchel for Steel Panther.
Yeah, I don't think you will get a next guitar hero in the same way that like the guitar. Here's the really controversial thing, right? The guitar has had its day. The guitar has absolutely fucking had its day. It was a long day. It had a very, very, very fucking long day. You know,
Yes.
There was a time in our history where the saxophone was the coolest instrument, and everybody wanted to play the saxophone. And
I think that's still today. It's just there's less people who are interested in actually learning it and more so in fantasizing about it.
You get what I'm getting at. Like,
Yes.
the guitar has been cool, and it might have a few more kind of waves of it being quite cool, but it's never going to meet what it was, because it's an outdated sound now, is the way I would describe the guitar. And that's not to be a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying that in a negative way, because almost exclusively all the music that I listen to is old music. I love old sounds. I love my favorite instrument is the pedal steel guitar, right? And you don't hear that a lot on modern records whatsoever. If you add it to a modern record, it inherently makes the record sound like a fucking old record. It's just not a sound that you hear a whole lot of. It's never going to be massively popular. It just kind of is what it is. I know what Rick's doing. You know, Rick does what Rick does. Makes videos that make people want to click it and get his thoughts on things.
And have a great conversation over it.
Yeah, and he knows that people are going to leave names in the comment section of Tosin Abasi or whoever. But no,
He's
these
mentioned
people are
Tosin in the
never.
video.
Yeah, people like this are never going to be guitar heroes in the same way that Slash was a guitar hero or Eddie Van Halen was a guitar hero.
Here's a great reinforcement of your point. Guthrie Govan has been out on tour with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
With Steve from Porcupine Tree. What's his surname?
Wilson.
Stephen Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, he has played for Dizzy Rascal.
Yeah.
Like, he's played for like some of the biggest pop names you can think of. And see, outside the guitar community, nobody knows him.
Yeah.
Even though he is arguably one of the best musicians on earth.
Yeah.
At least in terms of guitar control and feel and ability.
And I'll go one further than that, right? So if Rick's argument is essentially what you need to do in order to be successful and to be a guitar hero is you need to work with a great singer. You need to write songs that people love. And then you can be the guitar player in that setting, and then you'll be a guitar hero, right? Does anyone remember when Nuno Bettencourt was playing guitar with Rihanna? Or what about Justin Derrico when he was playing with Pink? Like, that is a guy playing in these huge stadium gigs. He's a featured artist. He gets all these really cool guitar spots. And of course, Pink is a great singer. It doesn't change the fact that when he does those things, it's an antiquated sound. It's harkening back to a days gone by thing. It's Pink paying tribute to a sound that used to be really cool and really popular, but isn't necessarily that thing anymore. I don't think, and don't get me wrong, I think Justin Derrico and Pink is unbelievably cool, and I've watched a ton of those videos and just gone, oh, what a cool gig to have, right? I don't imagine in the same way that maybe if you were 14 in like 1990 and you went to see Guns N' Roses, after that gig you probably want to pick up the guitar. I'd be very surprised if you're 14 and you go and see Pink, you inherently go, I really want to pick up the guitar now.
But I think a big part of that's the focus as well. Just when you're talking about it, like a band, everybody's an equal member to some degree with the chances to flaunt their stuff. When you go to see an artist, it's about the artist, you know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like, not always, right? Like, I'm not saying it's necessarily that's just what it is. Like, the Devin Townsend project is just as much about, like, the other guys in the band, Ryan Van de Poort, I don't know how to say his name. The drummer, Ryan Van de Poort. I mean, my brain tried and it didn't happen. But you get my point, right? You get my point. Like, there is no longer a focus on bands in stadium size, at least. When you're talking about like session guitarists or guys who are in like bands for ridiculous sized artists, but it is quite antiquated. Even thinking about the last really super rocky guitar riff that I can remember in a pop song that was like a genuine pop star, Christina Aguilera, Fighter.
Yeah, it's just not a sound that you hear in pop music anymore. And I don't, like, I'm not going to be the old boomer that goes, we need to bring that sound back and that sound needs to be popular again. It's not that I'm saying that sound has had its day. It's more just sort of accepting the way the situation is. Like, cultures change, and what is generally popular or exciting or new and fresh will constantly evolve. And that guitar sound just inherently has an old sound to it now. I think it won't be cool.
I think a big part of that is because music evolves. Music habits evolve. And if we think about just music in general, you had the rock era, glam era, big stadium selling bands, and then grunge, still guitar, completely different iteration of guitars, just being noisy and whatever else. And then things started to evolve more into, like, in my mind, the guitar music became an incredibly saturated scene, and you had so many subgenres of where guitars are being used. You had people who were using baritone guitars, just like Meshuggah, going into super heavy. How far can we push the sonic aspect of it? To then like shoegaze bands who were doing the same thing but the opposite way. It wasn't we're tuning low, it's like we're worrying or trying to think more about how we can evolve soundscape. So kind of the same target with different intentions and different methods. Yeah. And then other people who were like totally grassroots foundation right back to just acoustic guitars, and then you end up with like Candy Rat Records, the guys that were playing all the slap stuff and finger picking and tapping. Like, it's evolved and broadened so massively that no wonder you're not just getting the only exposure of guitar as like somebody like Van Halen blasting this guitar in front of you with fucking David Lee Roth doing triple backflips off the stage and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's music has evolved and moved on. Performances have moved on and evolved, and guitar is still mega prevalent as an instrument in music. But you're bang on. It's not prevalent in mainstream music. It's not the main focus anymore. It's not this when the singer wants a break, get a ripping solo going. It's not ad libs here and there, and you're like the other ego of the band, and everybody else just kind of falls in line. It is now that whether this is constructed or whether this has been a natural evolution, I think the music industry has progressed to the point now where it's very manufactured's the wrong word, because I don't mean that as in like it's sterile, but I mean it's that all the components are very, very thought out.
Yeah, it's calculated from a marketing perspective.
Yes, there's a good way to put it. That's what I mean. Like, that's not going to sell, therefore it's not going to get any time, and therefore it's no longer a component unless it's there for like it's specifically there, almost like it's doing a cameo.
There's also like an inherent guitar player problem with the question, which is it posits the idea that there should be another guitar hero, that guitarists should be heroes in bands. Guitarists should be the popular thing. And that's a very guitar player approach to things, isn't it? We should be popular. We should be important. And
the ego The ego of guitar players as musicians.
Yeah.
Let's strip it right back. Where the fuck are the loots? Get them out.
You don't see the drum community going, fucking hell, guys, we need to go back to the days where drummers would, or all we ever wanted to do was like have our drum kits on roller coasters that would go around the audience. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
gone are the days of Angelo Kelly and his piano drum kit where he would play melodies and all his tuned toms and the cymbals that had the perfect keys for each of them. Gone are those days, the golden age. Now everybody just wants to do this 4/4 shit where they play the rhythm.
Yeah, I don't look at drummers and go, you're selling yourselves out by not pushing yourself to be to a level where when people come and see whatever band you're playing in live that they expect an 8-minute guitar solo. Like, I enjoy the fact that I can go back and check out all of these recordings where there were bands that had 8-minute drum solos in the middle of sets. But I also enjoy the fact that that's not where we are now because, again, music is evolving and we're going in, I'm not even going to say a different direction, because when you imply this idea that you're going in a different direction, it's like everything that came before doesn't exist anymore. Music's great. It's still all there.
Mm-hmm.
We can still go and enjoy all of that stuff.
Well, see, I think maybe the word evolution is maybe the problem in that perception then, because when I think of it, I don't think we're naturally evolving in the sense that these things are becoming outdated because they're outdated. I think they're becoming outdated exactly because of what you said there, where it's manufactured from a marketing standpoint. We don't find this isn't interesting anymore because people have done it before. So rather than trying to make it more interesting and reappeal it, we'll just find something else to make the focal point. Synths, fucking brilliant, no bother. Dubstep breakdowns in the middle of a pop song, fucking throw that in there. You know what I mean? 808 drums, they were in the 80s, they're pretty fucking cool. Bang them right in there. You know, I don't mean that with any disrespect, right? Like, I'm not being an arse or saying like that shouldn't be the focus, but I think that's probably what's caused music to go partially down the route it's went, because record labels are there just to make money. They're not bothered about art, they're bothered about money.
That's not a new thing though, is it? Like,
of course not. But I think it's new in the sense that it's the record labels telling the bands what to do. Whereas in the era of like Guitar Gods and stuff, they probably had some autonomy in the sense that they were the ones that were bringing in the punters. They were the ones that kind of held the golden ticket. And now it's been dangled in front of artists. Unless you're at like phenomenal levels like Lady Gaga, for example, who are up there, like could be like, I don't give a fuck what the label says. If I want to have somebody on stage doing a 10-minute guitar solo because I think it'll be cool for the show, it's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People embracing their influences. A big influence on loads of musicians, even if you don't want to accept it's Prince. And Prince was, as a musician and a guitarist, fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
It's even a lot of like pop artists and R&B and hip hop and artists along those lines, like people like Janelle Monáe and fucking, you know what I mean? Like pop artists, really nice ballad writing pop artists, or maybe even they're writing kind of cool, modern, quirky pop songs. Like big parts of their groove and stuff is clearly been influenced by Prince, like massively. I think Janelle Monáe's first song, the beat was actually Prince's, and Prince said to her, I've been keeping this for somebody, you can have it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of influence is massive. I know that's an isolated incident, doesn't really add to my argument of like people like Prince being a big influence, but you know what I mean? Like you listen to songs, modern pop songs, and you go, I know where that's came from. Like that's a nod to this, that is to this and that. And I think music's always going to reference back, and it's going to be selective in what it references back to.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of metal bands or rock bands or guitar-focused bands do their nods back to Van Halen or fucking early Megadeth, Metallica, whatever, you know what I mean? Like Judas Priest, fucking however far down it you want to go back into it, like fucking, it doesn't matter. You could fall down that rabbit hole of Chuck Berry, you know, like you could very easily end up right back at the start and like no regress, but like be nodding to where it all came from.
I like it. I like that things have gone the way they have with guitar and it being the way it is. I think you need it to. I think I started playing guitar like genuinely quite late. 14. I was 14. And when you consider I was born in 88, that means I didn't start playing guitar until, 2002?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guitar had very much had its day by then. So when I was introduced to this idea of Guitar Heroes and Guitar Gods of days gone by. That's literally what they were. That's why I have such a fascination with the history of guitar and the history of music and the popularity of guitar and all these players that have kind of pushed the sound of the genre forward so much. Because I wasn't there to experience it. I have the historian's perspective on it. I get to look at it in that kind of mythical way of time. Time gets to kind of not change my perspective, but I get to look at it with that kind of rose-tinted glasses idea of time. And I think that the longer that gap becomes, the more those guitar heroes that we talk about go from being heroes to legends. They go from being legends to gods, because nobody will ever achieve the level of genuine guitar iconery of Slash. It just won't happen again. It won't happen again. And for Michael, if you're watching this, or I would hope you're bloody watching this, if anyone else that's watching this, like, that's not a bad thing. That's okay. Guitar's still cool if you think guitar is cool. Whatever you think is cool if you think it's cool. I would never go, oh, the guitar is just not popular enough for it to be viable for me to play it. Sorry. I'm going to do the things in my art that I want to do. I'm going to do the things I enjoy. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I have nothing else.
Amen.
Nothing else more to say.
Amen. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Like, I know for a fact that nobody's looking at Party Cannon and thinking these guys could be the next guitar heroes, or even thinking, oh, there's legible guitar parts in there. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't stop me enjoying what I'm playing and doing. If you've got passion for something, just do it.
Do you know what I think you do need in order to be the next guitar hero?
Mm-hmm.
This show has been brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. If you are unfamiliar with Ormsby and what they do, I would recommend you head on over to ormsbyguitars.com. Absolutely wonderful instruments made out of Australia by Perry Ormsby. You know, they focus on a lot of really interesting things, probably most notably the multi-scale thing. You can see a couple of them hanging behind my head. I am a big fan of the Goliath series. Having said that, I've also almost ordered myself a Hype over the years, and I think the thing that Ormsby do that, well, lots of companies have dabbled in, but they do a great job of it, is these runs of builds. You can go on their website now, check out the pre-order section of their website, and you will see a series of upcoming runs of guitar. You can get in on those with prepayment plans and really get yourself a nice, well-built instrument for an unbelievable price. So thanks to Ormsby Guitars for supporting the show. Go and check them out and let them know that we sent you. Thanks very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, huge thank you as always to Ormsby, Perry and the guys. We love you guys very much. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Still need to spec out that hybrid guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It'll
I
happen.
need to spec it a custom as well.
Very cool.
Did I say too much?
I know. Yeah, very, very cool. Cool. I don't really think we have any additional announcements that need to be made.
I'm going to get your face inlaid on the front of the guitar.
I've got your face inlaid on my amp, so it seems fair.
That was what I was saying. It's just its own, or maybe get it done on the back so I can have you rubbing against my crotch when I play guitar.
Sounds fantastic. Rubbing all over your party cannon. Yeah. So as always, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Do the usual things. Link in the description for t-shirts. Link to Ormsby Guitars where you can check them out and let them know that we sent you.
Yes.
Really struggling with this talking thing.
You have had like a 5-day migraine and bit your tongue, to be fair, mate. I can see why you'd be struggling.
It's definitely rough. I actually cancelled all of my lessons over the last 3 days.
That's not like
because
you
I
at
just
all.
wasn't capable of doing them. But I'm not cancelling the guitar solos.
Nah, you wouldn't do that.
I'll medicate myself to the point that I have to in order to make this work, because this is too many. I think too many people rely on us. This is me just convincing myself that we're important to people.
No, I think it's just as important for us as it is other people, because I think this is a very fun release.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's good fun, and we get to spend time as friends. You and I don't get a lot of time together as friends.
We don't
Certainly
get
not in the
time
in the
for
normal
anything.
climate. Aye,
Being an adult sucks.
You are correct.
I need to leave the house now so I can go and buy dog food. That's like where my life is now. Shit like this is the thing that keeps me sane.
My tiny fiddle for you, mate.
Yeah.
Tiny fiddle.
Having 3 dogs deserves a much bigger fiddle than that, mate. The stress.
Nah, no getting that.
I noticed that actually when I was watching Kieran's new video. There's a nice appearance from a Jack hair on his microphone.
Jack casts everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's like he's mental. Kieran's videos don't quite capture how hyper Jack actually is.
Yeah.
How mental he is. He always looks dead placid and just wants a clap and be a bit curious, but you get in the house, man, and he's like backflipping off the couch and potentially doing like running up the wall and at the ceiling and shit, man. He's mental.
Jack Russell, mate. That's what they do.
Hence why his name is Jack.
Yeah, they're just full of beans. So
he still thinks he's a puppy, man. I mean, he's still pretty young, but like genuinely thinks he's just a pup.
how old is he now?
Jack will be about 3 or 4, I think.
Oh, okay. That is, yeah.
So he's still kind of a puppy, but at the same time, he's like, you would think he'd have slowed down a bit.
Yeah, he's definitely out of puppy years, but Teddy's still the same as well. He's still full of beans, especially when he comes in from a walk and it's wet outside. When he's wet in the house, like that's his opportunity to be like, right, I'm in full zoomies mode. I'm gonna.
Everyone's getting it.
Yeah. Good times though. As always, we look forward to you guys and your feedback. It does mean a lot to us. So get involved in that comment section below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'm going to emphasize that share thing. Get us shared around. Get us,
please, please.
Reddit, Facebook, Instagram. Please, sir, we want some more listeners.
This is us with a begging bowl out. But we've been doing pretty good for numbers, but I can we've been going long enough now that it'd be nice to see the fan base really growing. And with a lot of people at home, and have been for the last couple of months, this is the perfect time to get into it because you can go down the rabbit hole, find the topics you like that we spoke about before. You don't have to go through every episode, dive in, especially when you've got your Vors timestamps because he's just the man.
Yeah.
And if you don't get into it before the next episode, then you've missed the milestone of episode 69.
Good point.
And that would be incredibly disappointing for you, and I'm sure your friends will be upset as well, because if they don't get to watch episode 69 as it happens, then they've missed out. They'll need to wait for episode 420 before they get to the next fucking milestone.
And I've definitely got something planned for 69, so...
Oh.
Excited?
I just felt like, see, at that point, it should have just been like the... Hello, ladies. Fucking,
Val
you know the music I want. It's like Val Venus music. That's exactly just over the top of it. Whatever the fuck it is, it goes. Anyway,
Val Venus's money shot. Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Yeah.
80s wrestling.
Yeah, just the best.
90s wrestling as well, actually.
Yeah, just the best. So get as involved as you possibly can. And as you saw from that final topic today, that was a suggestion from someone. So, you know, it's having a wide audience and your input that helps to kind of tell us what you want to hear about. And we are influenced by the things that you want to hear us talk about. So as always, please do let us know if there's things that you want us to talk about. We will happily talk about them.
Yes, and just while we're talking about things we want to talk about, we have had friends of ours who are local, who run another really successful podcast, reach out to us, and they're called Not Another Fake News Podcast. Now, they are mostly solely politically viewed, and that's what their topic is, but they were thinking about potentially, and as we have been, doing some sort of crossover. So I'm going to put the question out before we make any plans to do that. Levi, and a lot of the comments that come in through YouTube, as Levi pointed out, are people who are strongly against us going on to political topics or find it divisive. Don't want to alienate MD. Certainly don't want it to be that what could be a friendly, natural conversation comes across as us saying this is right and that's wrong. I know I'm really strongly politically opinionated in these shows. Levi probably edits most of that out, which is fine.
I really don't.
No, fair enough, right? But like
that's a lot of effort.
Okay, fair. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to ideas. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a conversation. It's not like politics right now is so polarising that it's, if you are left, you are socialist. If you are right, then you love Nazis. It's mental, right? It is mental. And the horseshoe theory is making itself completely prevalent here because we're going, extremists, touching, right?
Just touching tips.
Yeah, but rather than getting into all of this, all I wanted to ask was anyone who is listening and viewing at the moment, if you think that us talking to people who have really intelligent views and really informed views on especially British and US politics, want to talk to us about Brexit, for example, and the effect of that on the music industry, because the two that we're talking about, Jerry and Paul, are both music aficionados as well. Both have been live musicians, etc. Let us know. I think that would be quite interesting for us to come up with some topics that we could mingle between the two. But we don't want to have guests on that are going to switch people off of the content. That, I think, is the concern. So if you think avoiding the political side of things would be a good idea, please let us know. If you think it'd be really good to get people who know the ins and outs of Brexit and the goods, the bads, the pros, the cons, what's actually going to happen, what's been said is going to happen, like people who genuinely have done their research, to talk to us about what they predict the music industry is going to do next and what's going to happen and how that's going to look for live bands touring between the UK, Europe and even the US, then I think that'd be a really interesting and deep conversation. Personally, totally get if that's not everybody's cuppa. Just let us know.
Well,
that's all I'm asking.
I think that prediction side of things is really interesting, and I'm super game for that, because there's a big difference between like, here's what's been said, here's what seems to be actually happening, this is what I predict this is going to mean for everybody moving forward. What do you predict, etc., etc. That's a very different thing to, based on this, you should vote for this.
Yeah. The conversation, I don't think would ever lead down that super divisive, we're right and you're wrong. The beautiful thing about Paul and Jerry, and I've got a lot of time for them personally, is that they're both open-minded. They can argue points, and they're very, very eloquent in what they say, because, as I say, they've done their research. Like I think maybe a few episodes ago, in their own podcast, they interviewed an ex-Secret Service agent, like of the US government, and like they speak to really intelligent people who are informed, people who are way more intelligent than you and I in terms of political points and like knowing what happens behind the curtains. But that's not the conversation that we want to have. That's their podcast.
Yeah.
Same as like our podcast is music and entertainment and fun in the music industry. I think the collab would be great, and exactly as you're saying there, the conversation being predicting what's going to happen, what's been said and what can be debunked right away, what they would like to see put in place, and where we would fit in conversation around that as well.
Yeah.
From our own experiences of the music industry and touring, etc., I think that'd be really good. Personally, if you're down for it, let us know. If you think it's something you wouldn't be too bothered about, let us know. Because we're kind of in talks at the moment, but finding the right balance of socio-economic political chat versus ha, look at this idiot on guitar. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's finding the meld. So that was a long-winded way for me to say, please give us your opinion on if you think that would be cool, and if you could think of any topics that we could approach from both sides to have a chat on. I'd love to.
I actually really like that as a tagline for the Guitar Souls. The Guitar Souls ... Ha, look at this idiot on guitar.
It's just me.
Right, Mike, until next time.
Goodbye, fuckers.